Welcome to the From the Other Side live show podcast. The live show will begin in 2 minutes. Grab a snack and a drink and sit down to watch another one of our great live shows. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and share the live show video link. Enjoy the show. The live show will begin in 1 minute. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and share the live show video link. Please like and leave a comment and share this video.
Hello everybody, welcome to Live Show 109, the Ukraine-Russia Conundrum. Can Trump forge peace or escalate tensions? Tonight we explore Trump's strategic positioning. Is President Trump gearing up for a no-deal with Russia, or is there a hidden peace plan? His rhetoric suggests a narrative where Russia is painted as a loser, potentially stiffening Russian resolve against compromise. And we'll also cover some events that's happening across the planet. And as always, lately we have regular co-host Michael. How are you?
Oh, I'm just here on another fabulous Sunday evening.
Good. And last show we had over 5,600 views, and we hope to have a similar number tonight. And we'll have the opportunity for someone to call later in the show, and we have numbers you can call in the USA, UK and Australia. So far, the last three shows, no one has called.
Yeah, I keep on begging for a funny accent. Please, somebody. The more difficult it is to understand what you're saying, the happier I will be.
Yes. And as the show progresses, please let us know your opinions of what we're talking about in the comments on the chat in Rumble, and we will try to read them out. And before we start, you can hit the like button, share the video link on your social media, and if you have not yet, please subscribe. So, let's get started. Okay. Oops. So the notion that Donald Trump could single-handedly save America from itself, particularly from a spectre of World War III, hinges on his approach to one of the most volatile international conflicts of our time, the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Last week, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov dismissed peace proposals floated by Trump's team as insufficient, highlighting a significant disconnect in how peace is envisaged by Moscow versus Washington. From the Russian perspective, the concept of frozen conflicts, ceasefires and peacekeeping do not suffice as solutions. They advocate for a more comprehensive treaty-based settlement that addresses the border security architecture between the US and Russia. Without this, Russia seems inclined to seek a decisive outcome on the battlefield, risking further escalation, potentially even nuclear brinkmanship. This scenario brings us to a pivotal question. Is sustainable peace between the US and Russia truly achievable? To understand this, it's crucial to delve into historical US policies that have shaped current relations. The Carter administration, under the influence of National Security Advisor Brzezinski, marked a significant shift in policies that emphasized identity politics and technocratic control, which continue to strain US-Russia relationships. Brzezinski's strategies, notably in Afghanistan, aimed at leveraging cultural and identity conflicts to weaken Soviet influence, a tactic that has evolved into today's complex geopolitical strategies concerning Ukraine. Brzezinski's vision was of a managed cosmopolitan identity sphere that would replace national cultures, leading to a backlash that manifests in today's global unrest. His influence is seen as the promotion of Ukraine as a cultural battleground against Russia, predicted as false narrative of cultural dichotomy between European Ukraine and Asian Russia, which has been embraced by Western powers to rally support for Ukraine, but at the cost of peace. Given this context, peace seems improbable if the premise continues to be based on maintaining a belligerent Ukraine as a bulwark against Russia. Such a strategy would not only be rejected by Moscow, but would also perpetuate conflict. The American public's growing apprehension about escalation echoes fears of nuclear confrontation, highlighting the urgency to find a diplomatic solution. For Trump, negotiating with Putin presents unique challenges. The Western narrative has long depicted Russia as a negative light, making any conciliatory move towards Russia politically risky, perceived as weakness or a concession of US global leadership. Trump's strategy might involve reverting to foundational issues like NATO's expansion, to untangle the Gordian knot of post-Cold War security dynamics. However, the alternative advocated by more hawkish elements might resolve aggressive actions elsewhere, like against Iran, to assert US strength. Ultimately, negotiations are about aligning interests while understanding mutual perceptions of strength and weakness. Trump's claim to save America from itself might involve visionary diplomacy to redefine US roles in a multipolar world, or escalate tensions through unilateral actions showcasing his leadership style. Trump's capacity to navigate the UK and Russia conflict could define his legacy in international diplomacy, whether he can manage to pivot from traditional US foreign policy to embrace a new multilateral reality, or if he opts for a more confrontational approach remains to be seen. The path to peace requires not only strategic foresight, but also the courage to redefine what American greatness means in a world where power is increasingly shared. The stakes are high, with the potential to either usher in a new era of global cooperation or plunge the world into deeper conflict. So, Michael, given Trump's historical relationship with Putin, how might personal diplomacy affect US policy towards the Ukraine-Russia conflict, do you think?
I think this is going to be really difficult to see what happens until it happens, because like we talked on the show before, we saw that Trump is definitely involved with some big players in the Middle East. He's been seen doing things in Israel, and I think that directly influences, policy with Russia and Ukraine, and obviously there's a lot of Jewish people that live in Ukraine, or there was until they went to Israel. There was a lot of Jewish people in Russia too before they went to Israel. After all the fighting and stuff, did you see those videos of the Israelis in Ukraine?
Which ones?
You didn't see the videos of I don't know if they're Israelis, but they're Jews. Like, it was like a Jew town in Ukraine that I found on Instagram. I think I sent it to you. Did I not?
No, you didn't.
No. Okay. Well, basically.
Well, here they used to go to every year. They used to go to Minsk, and then from there down to Ukraine as well. There's a big festival or thing, whatever you want to call it, every year.
Like a pilgrimage. Yeah,
before the sanctions started and the war started, they used to congregate in Minsk, and then from there go across the border to Ukraine.
Well, I'm told that they have a Jewish city here too. It starts with a B, like Babarusk or something. So, I don't know. It's weird because there's a lot of Orthodox Jews in this area, and then all the way from Belarus to Ukraine and Russia, and then you have the people that Trump is involved with, but then Trump was friends with Putin before. Last time when he was president, and things were good for a while. So I don't really know what the end goal is, and I don't think anybody is going to be able to guess. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with not just that. I mean, with the way that crypto has been affected by his presidency, it skyrocketed, and then now you have all of these people saying that the stock market is going to crash, and that's what they're betting on for that, and so now crypto's going down, even though they were all betting that it was going to go up. And so you see, and I think a lot of this is manipulation. It keeps on going up, down, and I think every time that you have that happening, people are making money on either direction. So honestly, I think I don't think it matters if the war starts again, if it stops. It really just depends on how can they make money off of it, Can they make more money off of it going? Can they make more money off of it stopping? Maybe they want to stop it, start it again later, stop it again, start it again. Who fucking knows at this point?
Yeah, what do you think the realistic prospects for a comprehensive treaty-based settlement between the US and Russia, considering the current geopolitical stances?
Well, I think
something that'll stick, and the Americans won't get out of on the next administration.
I think Russia has a lot more power with stuff than what they think. So if you want to talk about an actual realistic prospect, I think I've said it on the show before. Stop giving Europe gas. Stop giving your enemies gas. If they don't have anything to power their factories, their electricity, what are they going to do? And Europe is already nice and destabilized anyways with the huge migrant problem. And
you see the news yesterday that EU's looking at starting to buy gas, to buy gas and open Nord Stream.
No.
Yeah, they're looking how they can start buying gas again from Russia.
See, well, and that's the thing is I think Russia has a lot more power in this argument than anybody thinks. So I don't know if America and the EU want to be friends and gang up on everybody so much, then why don't you just buy all the gas from America? Make America start drilling. Is that what Trump was talking about? Who knows? Because I think Putin should just put his foot down and just stop giving it to them.
Well, Trump, as you said today, Trump's putting 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, but he's also about to do that on the EU as well.
Well, I think he should be putting even more on Canada and Mexico, to be honest. They keep on letting all these people into their country, and then they just hop the border and get into America, and it's just a fucking mess. Did you see the videos of the Walmarts in America, what they look like right now? They're fucking empty. When you go in there, usually they're fucking packed. And I mean, it doesn't matter where you go. They're just fucking packed. And then especially at the beginning of the month, whenever the benefits hit, I mean, it's just loaded with people that you didn't even know that they existed in your city. They only come outside when they get their free food. Or they sit on their fucking porch all day. It's I don't know. It's just it's odd. And then even I saw a video of a lady speaking Spanish, an old lady that was a Walmart worker, and she was talking about how she has her papers legally, and she said, "Well, where's all the people that are normally here? They're gone. They're all waiting for ICE to come get them." She's like, "I'm still coming to work." And I saw other videos where the Walmart employees aren't showing up to work. There's nobody in the store. There's nobody. So all the price problems that we have in America, I mean, every year they say that they think that there's like less than 20 million illegal people in America. Like maybe it's like 11 or 12 million. It's been that way for a long time. But now I see some people that I don't know how accurate it could be, but they're saying there's like 100 million illegal people in America, and they're not getting counted on the census. They're eating up all of our benefits, and so but that's happening all across America, all across Europe. So back to what I was saying, I think if Russia just cuts everybody off, they've all got their own problems in Europe and America right now. They're already destabilized. If you cut them off, I mean, they're just gonna fucking sink. You don't even have to fight them.
You think the Trump administration can truly pivot from traditional U.S. foreign policy to embrace a new multilateral approach in this conflict? Mark Rubio said yesterday, where he said it's now a unipolar world, and each country should look after their own country and in their own sphere, and then and anything overlaps, there's actually be some sort of diplomacy.
No, America's always gonna try and play world police. I don't think that's ever gonna change.
And be the bully.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't spend all that money on your defense budget to not play with your toys, I guess. So it's why do I buy a car if I don't drive it anywhere?
Yeah. What are the implications of framing Ukraine as a cultural battleground against Russia, and how does this impact the peace negotiations, as I said previously?
Well, I think I don't know. It's kind of a strange situation, because if you look into the history of World War II and how the Soviet Union ties into all that, I mean, historically the Ukrainians were treated better than they were by the Bolshevik Communist Party. And when you watch interviews with them, they talk about how, you know, all of these Jewish communists were coming into their towns and stealing all their food while they were starving. They were growing food, but they were just having it all taken away from them, intentionally starving them. And then you have when the Soviet Union broke up, and then Ukraine has been, I don't know, pretty fucking poor still since then. And then you have all of those ethnic Russians that live there, and then they were all squabbling with each other inside of Ukraine. And I don't know, when I talk to Belarusians and Russians and even Ukrainians that are here, and I mean, nobody actually wants to fight each other. The problem that you've got is that Zelensky keeps on stealing everybody's fucking money, and then he doesn't want to let the people that voted to become part of Russia again actually leave, because he doesn't want to lose Crimea, Odessa, but I don't know. It's just really sad the way that they've pitted all these people against each other. Because I mean, during the Soviet Union, it kind of works like you know how needs of the army works, where like well, you can only put out contracts for so many positions if they're available, and if you don't have enough people that join, I mean, you're gonna have to shuffle people to other positions. If you have too many infantrymen, I mean, you don't have any cooks, so you need people to cook the food, and then you need people to do this and that. So the Soviet Union would they would just literally tell people like, okay, you have to go move to a different city and you have to go do work here. It doesn't matter if you're from here and you've lived here all your life. We need you to go be a doctor in this city because they don't have one. So that kind of stuff happened, and you have all over the Soviet Union all these people that they just I mean, the people here in Belarus, they have family members in Ukraine, they have family members in Russia. It's like the American Civil War, when you had cousins fighting cousins, brothers fighting brothers. It doesn't really make sense, and obviously, I think the attention is being put in the wrong direction. Why do you have two countries that are almost exactly the same fighting each other, when they should be paying attention to the real enemy, the outsiders that are pushing for this from the West?
That's my next question. How does the narrative of cultural dichotomy between European Ukraine and Asian Russian influence Western support for Ukraine?
I mean, that's obviously just bullshit. I mean, when you get into the more southern regions of Ukraine, they're not Slavic. Like they've got Islamic people that live in their country, and I don't know, but they're really not that different from Russia. I mean, Russia, everybody thinks of Russians when you think of Russia, but that's not true either. They've got Islamic people. They've got all these different regions. They've got I mean, Mongols and Asians and like Chinese, and Russia is so much bigger than what you think it is. Everybody thinks of St. Petersburg, Moscow, Siberia. But even Siberia, if you think of that, I mean, you think Russians and Slavic people that live there? Absolutely not. That's a bunch of Mongolians and, like...
Inuits? Yeah,
like Eskimos, Inuits, whatever you want to call them. I mean, it's the same people that we had in Alaska. So, and that's the other funny thing is, you know, Alaska used to be part of Russia, too. So they had all the Eskimos and Inuits were still under their control, and they were treated much better than we did. The U.S. government fucked them up. Like we have them essentially living in trailer parks, and they're all addicted to alcohol.
Yep.
So they all do meth, and they.
Yeah. When I was living in Alaska, and going up to those small villages, they were just decimated.
Yeah, I mean they're totally fucked, and I mean for the longest time, they weren't allowed to do all the things that they're supposed to be able to do. Like, they lived off of whale meat for how many thousands of years, and then suddenly, U.S. government tells them, no, you can't do that anymore. It's cruel to hunt whales. You savages, have some whiskey.
Yeah, and some processed food. Get fat and sick. In what ways might Trump's domestic political pressures affect his foreign policy decisions regarding Ukraine and Russia?
Where's the question here? There we are. In what ways might Trump's domestic political pressures affect his foreign policy decisions? See, it's weird because it's obvious that when it comes to pressuring Trump, I think in the end he does whatever the fuck he wants.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he tries to do whatever's easiest first, I think. whatever he would be the best solution, but he tries to do it the easiest way first.
And people like him.
Right. Well, I don't know.
He wants people to like him.
He wants people to like him. I think, honestly, I consider him a bit of a sellout. I think he promises a lot of things that sound really, really good. And it would be awesome if he did that, but he doesn't even do the things that he says that he's going to do. He does some of it. He puts an effort in, so, sorry, I couldn't do that. But I don't even think those things that he's saying are far enough. That's my main issue with him. He's running as a Republican, but the political parties in America have shifted so much that actually in the 90s he would have still been considered a Democrat, you know? So why? Like you know what the people are starting to do? They're polarizing, and you have these crazy liberals on one side that are trying to completely fucking destroy Europe and America and Canada, and then you have the conservatives that are waking up to it, and I just don't understand. When you have that happening, why don't you actually have somebody jump full into, like, you had Obama in the White House, who was pretending to be a leftist, but really it wasn't. But then you had the Biden administration that did all this hardcore left stuff. Once you get somebody in, why don't you try and pull some hardcore conservative stuff and show them that this is what happens when you actually try and take care of your people?
Especially with Trump, if this the only 4 years he's got, he should be trying hell for leather to do stuff that you normally can't do.
Well, I think the problem with that is they'll just litigate the shit out of him. They'll veto everything. They'll try and impeach him again. You know, he grabbed somebody else by the pussy or something or whatever. It's gonna be who was that one bitch? He raped me in a Macy's department store 30 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I kept the dress and I never washed it. How the fuck does that even happen?
Yeah. She also blamed other people as well in her past for doing the same sort of thing.
Well, that has been happening in America so much. Why don't they ever get in trouble for the false allegations? You know, like they don't even get a defamation case or anything brought against them because, we don't want to keep other women from speaking out. Okay, well I do, because how many of them are fucking lying about it? A lot of them. It's it's getting dangerous just to exist in America at this point.
Yeah. What would be the global repercussions if Trump opts for a more confrontational approach rather than diplomacy?
Well, obviously, if an actual confrontation is started, I think all of Europe and America are just gonna get fucking glassed. Because, I mean, if you're gonna start a war with technically, I guess they're the second most powerful military, aren't they?
Yeah, but they got the biggest nuclear
stockpile. They do have the most nuclear weapons. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I mean, they've said it multiple times. Putin and Lukashenko have said, you know, if it comes to that, I don't want it to, but I will press the button. I mean, once you back a dog up into the corner, I mean, its last option is to bite you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they want to try that, they can try a confrontation. But how long do you think, realistically, that you could keep something like that friendly at this stage?
How can the US balance the need for peace with the strategic importance of Ukraine in NATO's eastward expansion?
Why is NATO expanding?
Why is NATO around?
Why is NATO a thing?
Did you see that thing with Piers Morgan and Tucker Carlson?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's...
Maybe you didn't see the one before that. There was two of them. There was the first one, which Pierce interviewed him, Tucker, right? And then they swapped. And you probably saw the Tucker Carlson ones, right? But in the first one, Pierce said, he learned about COVID because he was like for it, and not very nice tweets to people like, people shouldn't get medical if they haven't got the injection, all those sort of things.
Right.
And he said, I've learned from that. I've become more skeptical, blah, blah, all that sort of thing, right? But then straight away when you talk about the Ukraine thing or Yugoslavia, he's completely on page with the deep state.
Well, I think the issue with Piers Morgan is every
dick.
time. Well, he is a fucking douchebag. That is one thing. But the second thing is whatever topic is hot right now, and from the liberal viewpoint, he is all for it until later he realizes, I'm sorry, that was wrong. He apologizes. He backtracks. He figures out that he shouldn't have been supporting it. Like I saw what was he talking about with he started talking about how transgenderism is a mental disorder, but when you look at his older stuff, I mean, he was all for all the gay pride stuff, and I don't know, he's just an odd guy. What channel does he work for anyways? I fucking
he's been fired from. He's got his own podcast now.
Who?
Pierce. He's been fired from everywhere, and he's now got his own podcast. He's got 1.7 million people that watch him.
Who the fuck watches that?
Don't know.
Who did he work for before?
Good Morning UK or Good Morning something, in UK, and then he said something which they didn't like, so they got rid of him.
Interesting. I mean, like, I've seen him pretty often with like Larry King and other people interviewing at the same time. And I think it's funny how, I don't know, all those shitbirds always end up on the same fucking channel. Rachel Maddow and Larry King, and like, who the fuck even are these people?
Yeah.
Like, do people actually you like watching Rachel Maddow, the fucking lesbian with the little boy haircut? She looks like a 12-year-old boy. Why would I want a 12-year-old lesbian to give me the news? I don't get it.
We'll listen to Pierce now on you can watch it here on NATO and Yugoslavia.
NATO is a defensive organization.
How is it defensive?
Because it has never acted proactively, aggressively.
Really? Where were you when the Yugoslavia war was going on? And they were bombing the shit out of Christians in Yugoslavia. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That was pretty offensive.
NATO has always operated in a defensive capacity.
Really?
Yes.
That's how they created Kosovo? Defensively?
It was defensive.
Oh, it was?
Yes, it was.
Who was the aggressor there?
Oh, you know, my brother-in-law was literally there.
Just a minute. What you're saying is insane.
It's not insane. NATO has never actually acted unilaterally
Okay, so the
aggressively.
Soviet Union
It's
collapses.
never attacked anybody without being attacked. It's always been defensive.
Who in Yugoslavia attacked NATO?
Look at his face.
No, here's the point where you just admit defeat. Bow your head and
I'm
be
not
like,
defeating.
you know what? I bow before superior knowledge. I totally got this wrong. Can't believe I had such a silly idea. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love watching Tucker Carlson. He's just hilarious. I mean, he's a bit of a douchebag, but I don't know, he's funny. So there's other times though where he doesn't quite seem to know what he's talking about.
Like there's no Nazis in Ukraine.
Right. Well, but that gets more confusing when you look into the war history, and is that even a bad thing? So we don't know. But I do know for a fact that his information about when he did that tour where he met Putin and he was going around to the Russian supermarket and stuff, and he was like, oh yeah, my groceries in this grocery cart, like he picked out a bunch of processed bullshit because he's like, I'm just gonna eat the same way I eat in America, and he picks out a bunch of bullshit. And then it didn't even look like very much food. And then he was like, oh, this only costed me $100. That's not very much. And failing to realize that that's like a quarter of the monthly budget that he just spent on fucking cookies and shit. So
That's like my wife here says all the time. I keep saying, you know, for us, we're going, oh, that's cheap. She goes, yeah, but not for people here.
Right. Well, and the funny thing is I was just having this conversation with my girlfriend because she was asking me. She thought that we spent way more money during the last month that we were like going out to dinner, and I was cooking her stuff, and you know, like we were going out on the city and stuff, and she thought that we spent like $3,000, $4,000 in a month, and I was like, no, like I saved $2,000 last month, like just into my pocket. Because I don't think that people really realize the difference between the spending power of the dollar and here. Because here, if I wanted to, and this is the funny thing is, I think groceries here cost almost the same as in Russia, but from what I saw, theirs might be a little bit cheaper. But they seem to get a lot of their food sent to them from Belarus. A lot of the food is produced here. I know all the dairy and stuff is. I mean, this is basically Russia's dairy farm. It's why the cheese and the milk here are fucking delicious. I mean, I'm from the American Midwest, and I'll tell you what, the cheese here is better than the Wisconsin cheese. Ooh, sorry, excuse me. It's better than the Wisconsin cheese. But she thought that we spent all that money. If I want to actually save money and be cheap here, I mean, after paying for my apartment and all my bills and stuff, if I'm only looking at food, I could spend less than $100 if I'm buying like, you know, like you can buy like big fucking things of bologna and the bread here, like you can buy fresh loaves of bread for $1 or less, like 50 cents, depending on what the loaf is. But you have Tucker goes there to the supermarket. And this is why I love him, but it's kind of stupid at the same time. Like, I don't know, he's an American. He's I don't know. He, as a news guy, you would assume that he's been a lot of places, right? But like, he doesn't really seem to know very much about outside of America. Maybe on paper or something, but just in that grocery store, he looked lost. Like, I don't know. Is that how I look when I go into a store here the first time? I probably everybody knew I was American while I was just staring at the shelf. What am I gonna eat? Where's all the cheeseburgers and where's all the fucking Little Debbie snack cakes and just I hope. Maybe next episode we should pull up when he did the grocery shopping thing and we'll just look at everything that he fucking put in his cart because it was hilarious.
Yeah, because he said this is weekly's food for an American.
Right. But I mean, like, it was like cereals and cookies and just fucking dumb shit. I hope he didn't actually fucking eat that. That would make my stomach hurt.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He is a good voice in America right now. With all that said, he's kind of a dick, but he's funny. But also, I don't know. He's just a bit. Why does he seem so like he's like he seems smart but uneducated at the same time?
You know, he doesn't go on the internet at all. He hasn't got any devices that are connected, even his phone.
Really? So, how does he learn all this stuff?
I assume from maybe A, reading, and B, just getting it off his producers and all that. Maybe he's not connected to the internet and all that on his phones, because then no one can plant anything on his phones like kiddie porn or anything like that.
I mean, that's fair. I mean,
yeah.
You hear about
if you're not connected and all those sort of things ever, then they can't do that.
I guess it does make it hard to read about things, though.
Yes. Well, like I said, he said when he was talking to, I can't remember who, he said there was no Nazis in Ukraine. He said that was a 1940 thing. It's just like, what?
Well, see, but then we're back into the argument of, I mean, when the Germans went through Ukraine, you can find interviews where the Ukrainians say that they were treated better by the Germans than they were by the by the Soviets. But that's because there was units that were trailing the Red Army, and they were basically pillaging and raping their whole entire way across everywhere that they went. But I guess the people that are in Ukraine now, that's more of like the neo-Nazi thing, because I don't know, real National Socialists don't exist anymore. They were completely crushed and wiped out. So now, when you have the neo-Nazi thing, that's more of like it's not the idea behind National Socialism at all.
There's a some comment in the chat about what we're talking about. Try large cans of stew and produce to make a big meal. Rich boys don't shop; they get servants to do it. They don't even garden their own health. He's trying to serve a purpose.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean he probably doesn't even cook. I mean he's probably got personal chefs, and I mean the dude is worth all that money. Well, he probably spends all day I guess if he's not connected to anything, I mean people have got to be printing him shit out and he's reading it, and so I mean he's probably spending all day reading things, talking to people. I mean, but he's got millions and millions of followers. I mean, how many does he have? I mean, like, he's got his own fucking network at this point.
Yeah, well, I don't know how many's on the network, but let's see what he's got on X.
I wonder what his net worth is. I mean, he's millions and millions of dollars.
I heard he's still getting paid by Fox because he's still got that contract with them. They can't get out of it.
Yeah, but then they wanted to try and fuck him with that contract.
Yeah, 15.5 million on X.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. How can the US balance the need for peace with strategic importance of Ukraine in NATO's eastward? Oh, we did that one, sorry. What lessons from the past US-Russia relations, particularly during the Cold War, could be applied to resolve the current tensions? My wife thinks it was better then, where they just cut the world up into two spheres and everything was just much safer and quieter.
Yeah, I mean everything stopped until we got involved with the. Well, I guess while we were fighting in Korea and Vietnam, everything was still happening, and then until the Gulf Wars all started. But when was that?
Gulf Wars, 90s, 91, 92.
So if you take away the Korean War and the Vietnamese War, which, you know, America to this day claims that it wasn't an actual war, it was a policing action.
Yeah, police action, yeah. 91 was the first one, Operation Desert Storm.
Yeah, so I guess you had peace for
this one is
1945 until 91.
That's when the USSR stopped as well.
Well, exactly. That's why the Gulf War started, was because as soon as the Soviet Union broke up, then we could go in there and go dick around with all the tensions that we've been causing for leading up to that. But we had peace for, I guess, from the end of World War II, 1945, until the beginning of the Middle East bullshit, if you don't count fighting in Asia. And I mean, there's always stuff going on in Africa that, you know, we said that we weren't involved in, but really we were there. And I mean, there's still people in Africa. You got kids fighting each other with AKs, and but relatively, I mean, 50 years of peace, just about.
A victorious, how do you say the last bit? Zoltleski?
Jadzolski?
Well, the neo-Nazi Stefan Bandera group of Azov and right sector are governmental, which is weird since Zelensky is Jewish, but they did not threaten to hang Zelensky from a tree if they sued Russia for peace. I think Zelensky is a CIA Mossad plant. CIA has been in Ukraine creating neo-Nazi, well, since 1948-ish, we know that.
Yeah, well, I mean, all that stuff is true.
Well, while we're on that, let's have a look at what Tucker says to Pierce about Zelensky.
Oh, great.
So we'll just grab that. And I'll just change it to that one.
My government and your government particularly are supporting this dictator in Ukraine who's oppressing Christians, who is banning people's native language and books in their native language. He's a book burner. And like, that's totally cool because we hate Putin. That's not totally cool, is it?
So would you just let Putin take Ukraine?
I would say let's have an election in Ukraine and let the Ukrainian people elect their own leader and get rid of the midget dictator who now oppresses them, Zelensky. And I would definitely not support a guy who's not elected as a democratic figure because by definition, he's not. By definition. I don't care who his enemies are. He's not worth calling a beacon of democracy if he doesn't even have why not have an election in Ukraine today? Because we've got a war. We had elections in our country during the Second World War, so did you. Like, why not hold him to democratic standards?
I've got no problem with saying he should have an election.
What about banning a Christian denomination?
Yeah, I don't agree with any of those things.
Well, how could we ever support that?
Because ultimately...
We're paying for that.
Because ultimately we have to make a calculation about whether we're happy with Russia invading what is a sovereign European democratic country.
It was not a sovereign country. It was controlled by the United States. Well, they installed their government in a coup in 2014. But they're a puppet of the United States and Great Britain. But they're not sovereign.
Do you think they're a democracy?
Well, their leader's not elected, so by definition, they're not a democracy.
There you go.
Well, that whole tradition goes back to you have the issue in we did hold an election during World War II, but it was for a third term that was very frowned upon in doing, because no other president had ever done that. It wasn't written on paper yet. It wasn't a rule yet. But he extended his presidency to 3 terms, and then after he got done, then they made it so that way. Well, I know that even though I did it because it was part of part of war, and we shouldn't be switching during something so important, they wrote it down on paper so that way, no matter what, you can't do that ever again, which is really odd. Why, if it was of the utmost importance that you do that and mention that you did that, why did you make it so that way if there is a third world war or something like that and somebody has to do a third term now they can't? It was really odd. And the only person that could prove that they were democratically elected during World War II was Hitler. Winston Churchill, I mean, where did he even come from? The guy had been in politics, didn't do that well, wasn't that high up. Then he wasn't involved in politics for a long time, wasn't doing anything. Owned a very large estate, and then during World War II somehow got brought up to the highest rung of English government. And then they say that he didn't even do a lot of his speeches. They said that a voice actor was doing a lot of his speeches on the radio for him. And then now you have Zelensky doing the same thing, where we installed him before, and then they started a war so that way now we can't have elections, and they claim that, just like Carlson said, that Ukraine is a fight for democracy. Well, then why aren't you hosting democracy in this place where you're fighting for it? None of it really makes sense. It's somehow the people that are claiming that they're fighting for something are actually doing the opposite. And
that's because they want to keep the money running and they don't want to change it. That's the problem.
Well, yeah. I mean, how many representatives did we have here in Belarus that were watching? It was 50 something for watching the election here, and Lukashenko is obviously the winner, and you have the same thing happens in Russia. And how often do they call his elections a sham every time too? But they can prove that they're democratically elected. How do you prove that Biden was ever elected? And you're going to call that a democracy? Nobody voted for him. The guy had the most voted in election ever of all time, because you had all of these people that weren't even supposed to be in America that were somehow voting because because voter ID laws are racist. How is that racist? I don't care what color you are. If you're not American, why are you voting in an American election? Yeah. It's like if I tried to vote in the election here. Is it racist for Belarusians to tell me to fuck off? No. I'm white. It's not racist. It's just I'm not part of their country. I don't get to, like, I live here, but I don't get to decide. I'm not a citizen.
That's right, you're a visitor. Does Trump have the political capital to redefine what American greatness means in the context of this conflict?
See, and this is also a big problem with Trump, is you have and the American government in general. What is a Republican at this point? What is a Democrat? They're all friends. They all do this bullshit together. There's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and I don't know. I think that you have two different sides in America right now that they're not telling you. They don't want you to be able to identify it. Because you have Democrats that are working with Republicans, but certain ones won't work with certain ones, and so you think that your two sides are Republicans and Democrats, but you really have this one in-group and this other in-group, and they're taking from both. So I don't know. It's like a secret war, and it's hard to tell how many people that Trump actually has and who are on these two sides, and because even though these two sides are fighting each other and they're pretending to be these two sides, then you see all these pictures of them where they're all seen together at these weird fucking parties and these ceremonies and private gatherings. And so is it that you have two sides fighting each other? Do you have four sides fighting each other? Or is it all just one side and they're playing this big stupid fucking game? There's no way to tell. How much political capital does anybody have in America? I don't know. Does it even matter?
What role should European allies play in facilitating or mediating peace talks between the US, Russia and Ukraine? Or should they just stay out of it?
I don't understand why the US and Europe are involved in any of this between Russia and Ukraine. They're not part of the EU. They're not part of NATO. They're not part of any alliance.
Yeah, because they're
a Soviet country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But the US is involved because they're the ones that did the coup in 2014 and provoked Russia into.
But I mean, all the way back to that. Why were we ever involved in that? It doesn't make any sense.
You've been in Ukraine since after the Second World War, inciting trouble.
Right, but why? So I'm saying they shouldn't have any fucking role in anything. That's not your.
What about the European allies? Should they have a role?
Well, Ukraine isn't part of Europe.
Okay.
They're not part of Europe. That's like Japan and China are squabbling over something.
Isn't their argument, although we know it's false, is that once Ukraine falls, then it's like the old domino effect.
Oh, well, that's just
in Southeast Asia. Remember that?
It's just fear mongering, so that way they can. Yeah. Because Russia doesn't even want all of Ukraine. No. They just want the section where the Russian descendants voted to be part of Russia.
Well, they didn't even want that at the start. They were quite happy with just those places having like a federation and having their own language and things like that. How can the US address Russian security concerns without appearing to capitulate to Moscow's demands and lose face?
Well, why don't you just get the fuck out of there and mind your business?
Yeah, but then they look like losers.
No, just go back to being an isolationist country like you were before World War One. Just go back to what America is supposed to be, and that's what I was saying.
Fortress America.
The what?
Fortress America.
Well, yeah, it's America was supposed to be we were a bunch of Europeans that didn't like the direction that Europe was heading. So we headed to the new world, made our own country, and well, here's the thing: we fought all of you to keep you to fuck off, and now we're friends with the people that we fought for 100 years over our territory. I don't understand how is America friends with England? How? No, and then how is Israel your greatest ally if you're allies with Germany and England and France but where has the Israeli military ever been involved in? Do they go fight in Ukraine? You know, this war that they're making you do. Do they do anything?
Nope.
No. So it's I don't understand any of it. Like, I don't know. America should have just stuck to its own fucking business for the last 115 years. Like, why did you guys have to ruin a good thing? I don't get it.
Well, considering the legacy of Brzezinski's policies, using cultural and nationalities against each other, or what different approach should be adopted for the U.S.-Russia relations moving forward?
It's just fuck off and mind your own business.
That's it.
It's too easy.
How does the fear of nuclear escalation influence Trump's decision-making process in this scenario, do you think?
Well, and that's the whole entire thing is the nuclear weapons. They're a final deterrent of telling you to fuck off and mind your own business.
Yeah, I think North Korea would have been attacked by now if they didn't have nukes.
Oh yeah, no. They would definitely have been fucked. But that's the thing is
that's why Gaddafi shouldn't have given them up. Saddam shouldn't have given them up.
Well, have you looked into the nuclear capabilities of Israel?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, whenever they have the world representatives go in there to go look at their nuclear power plants and all these other things, they're brought into fake control rooms and just stages and just fake bullshit. So they don't really get to see what they have, but they've definitely got a bunch of shit there too.
Yeah. And the US can't say yes, because if they did, then they're not allowed to sell them arms because of the law, be against the law. What would be the economic implications for the US and Europe if the conflict escalates further under Trump's leadership? Like you said, if they, one example was if they don't play ball, he's going to pump more weapons, wherever they're going to get them from, and tighten the economic screws on Russia.
Well,
he wants to try and drop. This is the thing. He wants to try and drop oil down to $45 a barrel, but the Texas producers and all that can't make any money below 70. So he's going to destroy the U.S. oil industry.
Some of that is true. Some of it isn't, because I don't know if he lowers the price of oil to that far, I think it'll lower the price of everything. Because black gold, that's what makes the world move at this point.
Yeah, but a lot of those wells are deep and it costs more to pull them out.
Sure, but once you
anyway, you're going to have to get OPEC to do that. OPEC's not going to do that anyway.
But once you lower the price of everything else, then
he's not going to get OPEC to do it. He might get Saudi to do it, but the rest of them won't. He's got to get all the oil producers to drop the price.
I think that See, this starts to get a little more complicated, because you have the problem with Russia has a lot of oil and gas, and they're not tapping into everything that they have. If you think they are, then there's absolutely no way. The amount of land mass that's covered by Russia, there's got to be so much shit in Russia that nobody even knows that it's there.
And plus in the Arctic circle further north, even more.
Yeah, I saw something about white hydrogen on the surface. So now they're trying to look at a way to collect that. and then once they can start collecting that if they have enough hydrogen, then they'll just tell everybody to fuck off.
Yeah. Do you think these economic sanctions as a leverage would be more effective than military support?
I think that if Russia and BRICS countries move into more crypto usage, you can't stop crypto. There's just no way. And that's the entire point, is that the banks can't own it, the banks can't stop it. So if you want to, I don't know, just actually jump headfirst into BRICS countries adopting crypto usage, and if you have companies in America that actually just start using crypto for everything, I mean, you'll still have to pay taxes on it and stuff, but if you
what do you think of Trump's idea of no more income tax?
Well, for income tax, that's perfect. I mean, but you'll still have business taxes and corporate taxes and stuff. But America never had an income tax
before World War I. Yeah,
right. And that was when everybody thinks that America is a democratic country, but no, technically America is a democratic republic, first of all, and everybody thinks that we're a capitalist country, but what kind of capitalist country has an almost 50% tax rate once you add everything up, from city, state, federal taxes? You have sales taxes in states, and you have sin taxes and gas taxes, and it just, everything is fucking expensive. I can drive across state lines in America, and in one state, cigarettes might cost $20 for a pack of cigarettes, and in another state, it might cost $3. And so if I bring those $3 cigarettes to New York City, what happens? That's that one guy, the Garter guy that got choked out by that police officer and died. He was selling Lucy's on the sidewalk from cheap cigarettes that he had bought somewhere else. And you can't sell loose cigarettes to somebody else. That's illegal, because they can't tax you on that. That's why it's illegal. It's not that you're selling cigarettes to another person. It's that they're not taxing you. So, technically in America, if you make money from selling drugs, you have to claim that on your taxes. So there's a little section there.
Many people don't know also, if you're working overseas, you still got America still wants taxes off you. Yeah, it's crazy. And banks ask when you open an account in a different country if you're an American, because they've got to tell the American government.
Yeah, I think.
But the American government does the reverse. They don't do that either.
Right, and I think Russia and Belarus, they're probably fill out this paper for us, and then it gets shredded once you walk out.
Who are they going to tell?
Yeah, I mean, well, why would they? They want your money here, obviously. And they want you to, if I'm gonna live here, obviously they know why I'm here. It's why are you gonna fuck over somebody that obviously likes being here? They're not going to.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the big thing is America's laws and our culture. I mean, it's you said it earlier in the show. It's fuck everybody else, but at the same time, it's a whole entire country of it's how many people can I sell out? How can I sell out my neighbor? How can I screw over my neighbor? How they want you to snitch on your family members for any random thing. It's just crazy. I don't know. I'm sure if your dad likes to drive 10 miles per hour over on the speed limit on the highway, you go tell the school resource officer about, oh, my daddy likes to drive his car fast. I'm sure they'll be very happy to show up at your house and find some way to fucking give him a ticket. In America,
and take your kids,
right? And they'll take your fucking kid.
Yeah. So what are the potential pathways for de-escalation between Russia and Ukraine, and what role could international bodies like the United Nations play?
Well, I think that once you stop all of the media sensationalism about everything, America has turned into this place where you're always thinking about, oh, there's these starving kids in Africa that I keep on seeing on all these fucking commercials, and oh, I have to help every single animal that's down at the animal shelter, and oh, there's all these fucking stray cats and all these stray Africans. They've all got to live at my house. I just have to take care of all of them. And I think I was reading something somebody said about it's a lot of women that are pushing these things, and well, it's because they're not having kids, they're not having families, and it's this misplaced maternal instinct that they have, and you're not taking care of kids, so let's go take care of all these refugees. I don't know. It's all misplaced feelings, and once you take all that bullshit away, and you have people that are now they have to live in real life. They can't be constantly thinking about, oh, what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening here. Start thinking about what's happening in your neighborhood. I mean, like, this is why it's so easy for people to get away with dumb shit now. Like, you have all these people. You have all these channels on Instagram and YouTube and all these other things where they're doing the police's job for them. They're catching these people that are trying to scam people. They're trying to rob people when you buy stuff off a Facebook Marketplace or eBay or whatever, and you show up and go get the item, and you're getting fucking robbed. And the police somehow can't figure this out and track it down. And I even saw a video where a police officer got chased by a guy with a knife when he went to go pick up a PlayStation after the guy had already stabbed a bunch of people. And you got these guys that are catching pedophiles, and they bring them into Walmart and they start beating the shit out of them in the middle of the store. It's entertaining, and then you see once the people in the store realize what's going on. Why are you doing that in here? Well, this guy came here and he was trying to meet a kid for sex, and then once you see the people on the video, they're like, that's what he was doing? And they're like, but you can't do this in my store. Well, some of these people are working at the store. You think they're going to fire him after that? And then they say, why don't you tell the police? Well, if you tell the police, what happens? In states like California, they just get probation. Do they even get probation? They don't even have to register. There's just so much crazy shit going on. But it's back to what I was saying. It's you have people looking at everything that's happening outside of your sphere, where if you start looking at what's going on in your neighborhood, do you think that these people would actually be able to pull this shit off? Would they be able to break into your home if you were paying attention? Would they be able to take your kids? Would they be able to, have all of these illegal people in your neighborhood? The reason that all these illegal people and all this crazy shit is going on in America is because 90% of you don't even know who your fucking neighbor is. Like, how many people live in an apartment building and you don't know anybody that lives on your fucking floor? Or you live on a street, and when's the last time that you talked to the people that live next to you? Does anybody have a block party or barbecues or anything anymore? And this is before the COVID-19 thing. I mean, do you even have a friendly chat with the random person at the grocery store? No. You go to work, you come home, you go to the store, you come home, you sit on the computer, you watch TV or whatever. People, they don't congregate, they don't talk to each other. And obviously this isn't just an America problem. This is like everywhere in European countries. What are you guys doing? You've completely lost touch with reality. I love, here in Belarus, luckily, people still go outside. When it's nice outside, I've never seen that many people outside before.
Sitting on benches. Lots of benches around outside, sitting around, talking.
I haven't seen people just like chilling in a park. You know, like they'll bring a blanket, they'll eat a fucking picnic in the park.
Well, like I said, benches all around the apartments and all that downstairs and all that. They're all just sitting around on benches, talking, chatting.
Yeah, there's a bunch of kids outside playing in groups. You know, like, or even like I first saw here. Like, obviously they've got like a chaperone with them or something, but like, it's not like they're wearing fucking road safety vests or something. Like, they're all trusted to just like, you know, stick together. And because the people here, they talk to each other. Imagine if you tried like stealing a kid off the subway here. I think you would immediately get murdered by the crowd. I don't think you could get away with that.
Yesterday, when the wife, the car, as I said, the thermostat went and broke down. While she was standing there, 5 or 6 cars stopped and asked if they needed help.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, like when I was in America, like I crashed my motorcycle one time on the side of the highway at night. And so, like, I was standing on the side of the highway with my motorcycle helmet in my hand, like, trying to wave down, you know, semi-trucks and cars. And, man, I was out there for probably 30, 45 minutes, and nobody stopped. You know what happened? The police showed up. Because somebody called the police and said, "There's a scary man on the side of the highway." I was holding a motorcycle helmet, you fucking idiots. Like, what do you think just happened? It was during the middle of the summer.
So, as I said earlier, Mark Rubio, where he was talking about the end of a unipolar moment, let's listen to him.
We're going to send or whatever. I think it really has to start with strategy. What is the strategic objective? What's the purpose, the mission? And I think the mission of American foreign policy, and this may sound sort of obvious, but I think it's been lost. The interest of American foreign policy is to further the national interest of the United States of America, right? I mean,
America first.
Well, and that's the way the world has always worked. The way the world has always worked is that the Chinese will do what's in the best interest of China, the Russians will do what's in the best interest of Russia, you know, the Chileans are going to do what's in the best interest of Chile, and the United States needs to do what's in the best interest of the United States. Where our interests align, that's where you have partnerships and alliances. Where our differences are not aligned, that is where the job of diplomacy is to prevent conflict while still furthering our national interest and understanding they're going to further theirs. And that's been lost. And I think that was lost at the end of the Cold War because we were the only power in the world. And so we assumed this responsibility of sort of becoming the global government in many cases, trying to solve every problem. And there are terrible things happening in the world. There are. And then there are things that are terrible that impact our national interest directly. And we need to prioritize those again. So it's not normal for the world to simply have a unipolar power. That was an anomaly. It was the product of the end of the Cold War. But eventually you were going to reach back to a point where you had a multipolar world, great powers in different parts of the planet. We face that now with China and to some extent, you know, Russia. And then you have rogue states like Iran and North Korea you have to deal with. So now more than ever, we need to remember that foreign policy should always be about furthering the national interest of the United States and doing so to the extent possible, avoiding war and armed conflict, which we have seen 2 times in the last century be very costly. You know, they're celebrating the 80th anniversary this year of the end of the Second World War. You know, that I think if you look at the scale and scope of destruction and loss of life that occurred, it would be far worse if we had a global conflict now and life on the planet. I mean, it sounds like hyperbole, but that's how you have multiple countries now who have the capability to end life on Earth. And so...
Okay, well, there was a lot of bullshit in that, actually. He keeps on saying the end of the Cold War, the end of the Cold War. But actually, I think that all of the art of diplomacy and being able to have all of these other countries and superpowers is, well, that all ended with World War I. And then what he was saying about, you know, Peru for Peru and America for America. And, well, there was a guy with a funny mustache that was talking like that right before they started the Second World War. And, well... Look at what they did to him. And rogue state. What makes Iran a rogue state exactly? What have they done to anybody?
They're not even. Why are they an enemy of the US? They haven't done anything to the US at all.
Yeah, well, exactly. What have they done to anybody? I don't think Iran has ever attacked anybody ever.
No.
So.
Well, they do fund Hezbollah and all those sort of things, but that's the only thing.
What did they do?
They fund Hezbollah and Hamas and places like that.
Well, sure, but those people are.
Hamas is a freedom-fighting unit.
We see what they're portrayed as, but once you start actually looking at the stuff that is happening in Gaza, and you look at the stuff that's going on there, I think it's pretty obvious that they do need to fight back, or they're just gonna have their home stolen and they're gonna die. I don't know how else you're supposed to.
I'm sure if someone did that to the United States, you guys would be doing that. Oh, you did. War of Independence.
Yeah.
You all took to the streets or the forests, fields,
but
to fight the British.
It is a little bit different because you have all of these Eastern European people that were thrown into Israel, and now they're claiming that your house is their house, even though your family has been there for the last 2,000, 3,000 years, and I don't know. The whole thing is really fucked up. Like, I just don't know how else to put it, because it's like you see that they start to spin these things where some of the stuff he was saying, yeah, America should put America first, but why is it a bad thing to have multiple countries that are just as strong as each other? Why do you
that's
have
what
to...
that's what he was saying. Besides North Korea and Iran, he said China should have their sphere of influence. Russia should have theirs. Chile, example. Everybody should do stuff in their own interest.
Sure, but I mean, why do you have to have a sphere of influence at all? Why, as an American, do I have to influence Mexico or Canada? I mean, I think...
Well, that's been your Monroe Doctrine since the 1800s, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I think, I don't know, your sphere of influence should stop where your borders are. If it's outside of your country, why do you care?
Yeah, we're saying that. Well, if you say that, that means Russia shouldn't care what's happening in Belarus or Ukraine, Georgia.
Well, but those are allies, and so I don't know. It gets a little more complicated when you throw in the allies, but with the current system of how we have allies, I mean, you could attack one country that I wouldn't even know the name of, and then somehow you have every single country is somehow aligned with it. Because if you look at all the alliances, I mean, like, I don't know, really strange countries are allied with each other, and I don't understand why. So technically...
Well, look at the UK was allied with Poland for some reason for World War II, and then after the war they threw them under the bus.
Right. So why were you allies with Poland
in the first place?
If you were just going to give it all to the Soviet Union. Well, and yeah, I mean, that was a complete ass fucking that Poland took from both sides.
And the UK sent all the free Polish back there after the war.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. I didn't know about that part.
Yeah. Here's, as we were talking about, here's the end of the war, 80 years, and here's Putin talking about not being invited to the liberation of Auschwitz Memorial. So let's listen to him.
Что касается приглашения или не приглашения на мероприятия, связанные с освобождением Освенцима, это, конечно, такая странная, позорная вещь для тех, кто это делал. Почему? Ну, можно как угодно относиться к политике России сегодня. Можно как угодно относиться к главе российского государства, ко мне. Никто и не попрашивает никакого приглашения. Но если бы подумать, можно было бы поступить гораздо потоньше. Но если уже невозможно пригласить в силу здоровья и возраста освободителя Освенцима, ну хотя бы родственников их пригласили, еще кого-то, кто имеет это отношение. Ну а приглашать людей, которые своим национальным героем избрали Бандеру, виновного в Холокосте, виновного в уничтожении сотен тысяч евреев, русских, тех же поляков. Кстати, польское общество это знает об этом, время от времени напоминает своему политическому руководству о том, кто такой был Бандера. Сегодняшнее руководство Украины возвело Бандеру в ранг национального героя. Это символ украинской государственности сегодня. Это еще и действовавший когда-то глава государства, как вы сказали, рукоплещет еще бывшим солдатам СС, лично своими руками уничтожавшим евреев, виновником в трагедии Холокоста. Вот это, конечно, это очень странно. Ну, таковы реалии сегодняшнего дня в той Европе, о которой мы только что говорили.
See, yeah. So who was invited to the memorial was the guards and the people that ran the camps.
And that's what I find so strange about all of this is Putin made statements talking about how the original Soviet government was founded by a bunch of Jewish people, the Bolsheviks, and then you have all of these reports about Auschwitz killed 4 million people or whatever, but only the camps that got liberated by the Soviet Union, those are the ones that were considered to be death camps. And then when you look into it, you know, even at Auschwitz, they said 4 million people died there. But then it turns out that that wasn't true, and they lowered the death count to 1 million. And then they lowered it more after that.
I've seen the Red Cross, well, actually the German, the Red Cross as well, letters and the German figures they wrote down. It was about 67,000. Well, because it was a work camp. It wasn't an extermination camp.
It was like 267,000.
Because it was a work camp.
But, but that was mostly due to supply lines getting fucked up, and you know, the Allies were completely bombing the ever living fuck out of Germany, hitting absolutely anything they could see. I mean, if you look at the German wartime propaganda posters, they say like to turn the lights off so the monsters don't find you at night, because even if they just saw residential lights on, they would bomb the absolute fuck out of it. Anywhere that there were lights, we're going to catch bombs.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what they were hitting. It was terror bombing. It was literally terrorist attacks. And they were known as terror bombing in Germany. And I think...
look at Dresden. They firebombed it just at the end of the war. There was no need to do that.
Right. You have...
If that was a German commander of the Air Force, he would have been a war criminal and tried at the end of the war.
Well,
but Bomber Harris, the guy in England who ran the bombing campaign, he was lauded as a hero.
Well, and when you had that post-war council that was sentencing everybody, I mean the Soviets were serving on that with the. It was a bunch of Jewish communists that were sentencing these people that they had claimed had done all these things. And
well, Stalin at the end of the war said to Roosevelt, "We should just take the top 60,000 Germans, right, from business and military, and shoot them." And Roosevelt thought he was joking. Said, "No," he said 30,000, and Roosevelt thought he was joking and said, "Oh, how about 60?"
No, Jesus.
He was joking, right? Well, that's what Roosevelt thought he was joking, but Stalin wasn't joking. And if he did that, a bunch of people today running the EU and that wouldn't have been around.
Well, and I remember I was reading this like last week where another president thought that Mao was joking when he offered, "I can send 10 million Chinese women to America whenever you want."
Yeah.
And he thought that he was kidding and tried to change the conversation back to what they were talking about. And then he just said it again. But they were being serious, because the whole entire point behind the communism was that actually, like, he's trying to give away these women, but actually he's trying to flood America with Chinese, and then you have the German war criminals where a lot of their testimonies were given under duress. And
well, same in the concentration. The ones that were running it, they had their testicles smashed and all sorts of things.
And then you also have the issue of well, the Soviet Union was never a part of the Geneva Convention. They never agreed to any of that. So technically, they didn't commit any war crimes because they just didn't agree to the whole entire convention. So they could do whatever they wanted, I guess, but I don't know, just because you don't agree to international war crimes, does that mean that you can still do them? I don't understand how that works.
Yeah. Let's listen to Trump on the this Ukraine.
Whatever I can do to stop it, and we are having discussions, yes.
Ongoing, already scheduled and ongoing?
Already talking, yes.
So you've already spoken to Vladimir Putin?
I don't want to say that, but we are having very serious discussions about...
Is there a reason you don't want to?
We are, well, I just don't want to say that. We're having very serious discussions about that war, trying to get it ended. With Russia.
So how might Trump's approach to this conflict affect his broader international legacy, do you think?
Well, I mean, he did the same thing with he was the first president to go meet Kim Jong-un to meet with a North Korean leader since the war.
Mm-hmm.
So, and technically it's a war that never stopped. It's just a ceasefire.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I think
the same between Japan and Russia.
Is it?
World War II.
Interesting.
Yeah, they never signed a peace. Never.
Well, is it just like a de facto peace then?
Yeah, they were negotiating it just before the sanctions started again, so that stopped it all. Because Japan wants some of those Kuril Islands back and all that sort of thing.
Oh, well,
which they're not going to get.
If they're still at war right now, why don't we just attack Japan real quick?
So given the public's apprehension about escalation, what steps should Trump take to reassure both US citizens and its global allies of his strategy for peace? That's the last question I'm going to ask you.
Well, I mean, it just goes back to the public. What do the people want? I know that they all want these things that they see on TV and blah, blah, blah. But if you stop feeding people that bullshit, actually what they want is they want their daily life to be better. You know, like they have all this misplaced passion for all of these things that don't actually affect them. And it's because their daily life fucking sucks. If you make America feel like home again, if you make it prosperous and peaceful and people are friends with their neighbors and everything is good again, well then you'll be outside playing and having barbecues. And why the fuck would you care about Iran or Ukraine or anything else? And most Americans that I know, when you get deep down into it, that's what they want. So focus on yourself, build your countries up, and obviously everybody can be friends, but be friends separately but together. It's if you all work together by working on yourselves, then everything can be good. You know, why can America only be strong and powerful if we crush Iran and we have to, you know, crush Russia and all this other stuff? Why can't Russia, Ukraine, Iran, America, why can't everybody all build up at the same time? It's not mutually exclusive. Why do you have to turn everybody against each other? That's why you all have your own piece of land. Just do whatever you want in your own piece of land. But with the whole Ukraine situation, you had people in your land, a huge amount of them, that were not happy with how you were treating them. So then they turned to their neighbor and asked for help because you were stealing from them and you were treating them like shit. And that's exactly why you have all these Canadians that are now asking, can we be the 51st state? Because even though Trump was kind of making a joke, he kind of wasn't. Because if you're in a tight neighborhood and you're getting mistreated in your house, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to run over to the neighbor and you're going to be like, hey, can you help me out with this? You know, or if you have outsiders come into your town, you're going to have your neighbors help you. So I don't know. It's weird because people aren't designed to think about stuff on a global scale. You're not supposed to be doing that. That's the whole point in separating stuff into cities and towns and countries and continents, and because I'm just a person, you're just a person. Do you really think, even as a small council of people like the UN or the EU, do you really think that you're that much more qualified than me or you know, even the guy that works at McDonald's? When you get down to it, you're not that much smarter than that guy. It's not that big of a difference. Sure, he's a fucking cashier, but I don't know, the head of the EU, what are you? What makes you so special? Nothing. You're just a person. And I think a lot of these people, they just get these inflated egos and they forget, like, people, we're tribes, we're small groups when it comes down to it, you know? So we're not built to do this whole globalist bullshit thing. You have to focus on your tribe, your people, your family. And if you do that first and you focus on yourself first and everybody does that all at the same time, everything is fine. Focus on yourself. Mind your fucking business.
Exactly. Stop harassing other countries.
Yeah. And
especially this one.
Exactly. Everything's good here. The people here talk to each other. Even speaking English. I can go out to the bar or the park, or I can even like hop on the metro, and if I want to try and talk to somebody, even though I'm speaking fucking English, they'll try because they're friendly.
I get the taxi drivers when I'm coming here all the time trying to talk to me, even though their English is very poor or broken and all that. They try their hardest.
Yeah, because they're it's an American, or it's an Australian.
Yeah, first thing's always is, what are you doing here? But
yeah,
anyway, that's the first thing always.
On the way here, I was talking to my taxi driver is from Turkmenistan, and so we were talking, and I told him, like, all I know about Turkmenistan is I watched all the videos and I saw they have all these big, beautiful buildings and all this crazy stuff there. But I never saw any people in the video. And he didn't have anything to say about it, but he just started laughing because he knows that it's true. But I don't think that they're allowed to say much once they leave Turkmenistan. I don't think they're allowed to say anything. They have a really weird government. Do you know much about them? Yeah, I guess the guy that's in charge, like it's really strict, and I don't know too much about it. You'd have to ask Andrew. Like I guess Andrew met somebody from there and talked to him a fuckload about it, and he read about it, and
we'll get him on the show and talk about that next.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Andrew's living it up in Thailand at the moment, so.
Yeah, I saw him taking shirtless photos on the beach.
Oh, that's a shock.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Belarus electoral process, a showcase of democracy and sovereignty, as we discussed. So international observers witnessed how democratic and fair the electoral process was in Belarus, as we have said before. The recent presidential elections in Belarus have once again underscored the resilience of the country's political system and the trust in its citizens placed in their leadership. Despite the usual criticism from Western governments and the media, the electoral process was conducted transparently, democratically and peacefully, as observed by international observers and journalists. The re-election of President Alexander Lukashenko reflects the will of the Belarusian people, who turned out in significant numbers to participate in the voting, over 80%. From January 23rd to 26th, where are we? Sorry, that. This experience, I'll just...
You skipped a line.
I skipped a line. Here
there you go. From January 23rd.
Yeah. From January 26th to 27th, I had the honour of meeting a serving international observer in Minsk who was invited by the Belarusian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. His experience allowed me to witness he told me about his first-hand witness, the enthusiasm commitment of Belarusian citizens to their democratic process. Contrary to narratives propagated by Western media, the elections were characterized by fairness, transparency, and a genuine sense of civic duty. One of the most striking features of the electoral process was the early voting system, which enabled citizens unable to vote on election day to cast their ballots in advance. During his visits to several polling stations, he observed hundreds of citizens exercising their right to vote, many expressing their desire to ensure participation despite potential personal commitments. This proactive engagement highlights the value Belarusians place on their political systems. So voting in Belarus is not compulsory, yet the turnout was remarkably high, with nearly 70% of eligible voters participating. It ended up like just over 85%. This level of engagement is indicative of the population's commitment to shaping their nation's future. Both young and old voters displayed a strong sense of responsibility, viewing the election as a pivotal moment in the country's political life. And on the actual election day, which we obviously streamed live as well, results at the end of the day, the atmosphere at polling stations was festive and inclusive. You said across the ones from you, there was a...
Yeah, they had like a concert going on outside. People were like dancing, listening to music. It looked like the polling station itself was inside of the gymnastic association building. It's like the National Gymnastic Association building. So I live across from it. I've never been into there, but the building's fucking huge. Like huge. And I don't know, like I thought about trying to go over there, but then I thought maybe it would be a little awkward for me to try and like, because I'm assuming you have to have some sort of identification to go into the building, and so I didn't know how that would go.
And I don't think you're allowed to film inside either while that's going on. So volunteers and staff ensured a smooth process during the day, even offering snacks and small gifts, continuing a tradition from Soviet times. This communal spirit sharply contrasts with Western depiction of Belarus as an authoritarian state where elections are pretty meaningless. President Lukashenko secured almost 87% of the vote, and while Western critics were quick to label these results as unfair and rigged, such assertions lack substantiation from on-the-ground observations. Lukashenko's broad support can be attributed to his role in maintaining national stability and navigating the country through challenging times. The preemptive commendation of elections by the EU and the US reveals a bias to and disinterest in objective assessment driven by geopolitical agendas rather than facts. And the observer, he said he can confirm that the elections were free from state coercion, with citizens freely expressing their support to Lukashenko. Everybody I know was voting for him if they were voting anyway.
Yeah, well, I think I don't know. Politics here can be really odd to talk about with people because the majority of people that I talk to, they like Belarus. They like their country. And I think most of them like Lukashenko. Even the people that don't like Lukashenko and like the West, and when you start to talk to them about stuff, they pretend like Belarus is awful, but then when you start talking to them, they like it here too. So I think when people hear, I think the ones that don't like Lukashenko, they just don't participate in the voting at all. I think that they just sit inside. And then people pretend like all of the opposing parties, they're not actually opposing parties or whatever. Well, that one chick was allowed to
And there was 3 others.
Yeah. Well, but I mean the one that got booted out. Like, she was allowed to be on the ballot and stuff. So why didn't those people go out and vote? It's because it's the same problem you have everywhere. I mean, it's those people that they just complain, but they don't actually do anything to follow on their beliefs. And I don't know. It's like people that like to be miserable. Why are you fighting against something when you obviously have a good place and a good thing going on?
That's right. The skepticism from the West towards leaders like Lukashenko and Putin reflects a misunderstanding of the political dynamics in these countries. Both leaders have emerged from and managed periods of significant instability, which has endured them to their constituents. Notably, this time, there was no unrest or protest during the election period, contrary to many predictions. I was here in 2020 in August when that happened. This calm in Minsk during the voting period further supports the notion that the public was content with the election process. The absence of action from nationalist militias from neighbouring countries might also be due to Belarus' enhanced military capabilities and strategic alliances.
Well, and one more thing about the political climate here with the people too is like even the ones that support Lukashenko and love everything that's going on here, that's exactly the people that, like, you're completely free to talk. You can talk about it as much as you want if you're not, like talking about, oh, we should overthrow the government. If you support the government, or even if you just support democracy, like, I guess...
I think in every country it's illegal to try and overthrow the government.
Well, exactly. Because if you tried to do the same thing in America, that's that whole January 6th thing where that's not even what they were doing, but that's what they got charged with, and they were charged with treason. And so, it's in any country if you try and do that. But here, you're not allowed to defend yourself and your country from these rioters and people trying to overthrow the government. Now it's bad because the location has changed.
According to the West.
Right. That's what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
But I think with the people, the reason that they don't talk about politics openly is because even if they support or don't support, they just don't want to offend the other people around them and who they're talking to.
Remember in the West, was when you went to dinners and all that, you'd never talk about politics, money, or religion. Yeah, that was a thing for a long time, and then it started changing.
Well, I guess when I was a kid, I mean, like, I remember
only a few years ago.
Well, 15 years ago, I was entering high school. But, I mean, I was raised in a Catholic household, so whenever I would hang out with other kids, it would always be, like kids from church or even kids from school and stuff. I mean, most people when I was a kid, they were all some sort of Christian. They might not have been Catholic, but they were Christian. But, I mean, like, even when I played soccer and stuff, I mean, like, a lot of the kids that I played with, they were Catholic, and they even went to the same church we did. And so, I mean, like, I don't know, America was just a lot different when I was a kid. So you didn't really have those problems. Like, it wouldn't even come up as a conversation because you knew that whoever you were eating dinner with, like, if they said grace, like, okay, that's fine, so does my family.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the Belarusian elections were a vivid demonstration of a functioning democracy where, free from external interference, the populace chose their leader, reaffirming their trust in both the political system and Lukashenko's leadership. The West's attempt to discredit this process only revealed their disconnect from the ground realities. Belarus has clearly demonstrated its sovereignty and capacity to forge its own path, guided by the will of its people.
But yeah, I think the people here are really, really similar to how America was when I was a kid, Because I mean, yeah, they don't talk about politics, they don't talk about religion too much. But once you actually start digging into it, if you can get them to talk about it, it's because they're all pretty much the same. It's a homogenous population. They all have the same religion, the same political beliefs. I mean, this is what happens when you have a close-knit society of people that are the same. You don't have to talk about too much stuff. A lot of it is just unspoken because these are just the societal norms here. I mean, we have a way of thinking here where actually, I guess, like, this is how Europeans have thought for hundreds and hundreds of years. Like, all the people here, they're Belarusian or they're Russian. And a very small percentage of people are from somewhere else. So you just don't have any of this crap happening. Which is exactly why I was saying, if everybody stayed in their yard and they all built up their own yard on their own, everybody could be separate together. Because why do you have these people that are like, they come from Mexico and then they come into America and then they try to make America more like Mexico? Why? Why did you come to America? Why didn't you just try to make Mexico better?
Oh, like in England, where the certain religious group tries to change everything to them. Okay, that's the end of that. Thanks everybody for your comments in the Rumble, and hello to Fast Jimmy on YouTube. I don't know when you sent that, but hello. Now, let's try again. Michael, can you call? Here's the numbers if you want to call in.
I want somebody with a funny voice. I don't care which phone number you call, but I'm going to give them to you anyways. San Francisco phone number 415-800-3906. And then here's the trick question. Sydney. Yeah.
Australia.
612-8091-5955. And then
England.
we got the
UK.
England
UK.
number, but it's London, yeah.
Yeah, but it's wild. Well, yeah.
It's somewhere.
It's a London number.
Somewhere where they eat baked beans. 4420-3290-6203.
And those phone lines will be open for the next 10 minutes. Okay, what do you want to talk about in the next 10 minutes? Maybe we'll get someone with a funny accent.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Fast Jimmy, you can ring from the Australia. Ring Sydney number.
It's I want somebody to call, and why don't you just tell me about where are you from, and like how have you watched it change, and what are you doing in your neighborhood? How is your neighborhood? Are you actually friends with your neighbors anymore? That kind of stuff.
How has your country changed with mass immigration in those three countries?
How has your funny accent changed, if you have one?
Is it changing to the funny accent of the immigrants?
Yeah, is it changing? Do you, or are the immigrants picking up your funny accent? Are they assimilating to your funny accent? It's important. I say it in a sarcastic, funny way, but accents are. It's a big cultural thing. It's a big identity. I know whenever I watch videos of people in the UK, I don't understand how you guys like understand all of these strange accents that you guys have. Like, how does a Scottish person and an Irish person understand each other? Or somebody from I'm always watching those football interviews, like after the soccer games, and oh man. Some of those cities, I don't understand any fucking thing you guys are saying. And all the people there talk like that. What the fuck is wrong with you? At least with the Australians, I can understand most of what they're saying.
Yeah, we just talk fast.
Well, you guys got a lot of slang words too.
Yeah.
Like your guys' slang gets fucking crazy. But I don't know. There's a lot of slang in England too, but it's not. I don't know. It's just not as fun. There's something about Australian slang words that they just hit the American mind so much differently.
Yes. Okay, people, ring in. The numbers again are
San Francisco 415-800-3906. Sydney 612-8091-5955. And London 4420-3290-6203. And I don't know. It's on Skype too, right?
no. That's phone numbers come in. Yeah, there are phone numbers for here. So it'll just cost them whatever it costs to ring those numbers in their country. So it's only a local call in the UK. It's an interstate call if you're outside New South Wales in Sydney. And I assume, is it an interstate call in America if you're ringing San Francisco?
Well,
we could, if they message us their phone number, we could phone them.
That could also work, but I don't think America does like long distance charges anymore unless it's a landline. And even with a landline, I don't think that they do long distance charge.
Yeah, I don't know about Australia anymore. Haven't been there for so long.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, like, still they talked about long distance and stuff. That was a thing. But at one point they had the cell phones were still doing long distance for some reason, but then that changed where they weren't doing that anymore, and I don't know. I grew up in a really confusing time of...
when I was in Alaska, if you used a mobile phone, if I called you, you would get charged, and I got charged as well.
What the fuck?
That was in 98.
That's weird. Yeah, because, I mean, it was... you would never get charged for anything incoming ever since I've had a phone. So I had a really weird phone call about 2 weeks ago. I don't think I ever told you about this.
You can call us on Skype, on Telegram as well, where if you go to send me a message, we can get you on Telegram.
Somebody from America called me while I was sleeping.
Yeah?
Yeah, they called me on a fucking video call. Like to my phone. I don't know how the fuck that happened. I woke up, I turn over, I answer my phone, and of course, it's some fucking fat bitch. America. So some fat bitch I'm staring at, and I'm like, hello? And she was like already in the middle of talking, and she must have been calling her girlfriend or something, because she just went from to... And she's staring at me with this stupid fat face, and I don't know. She must have been somewhere around my age.
She was saying, "Oh, my girlfriend's gone bald and got a beard."
late 20s or whatever. I was just like, I think you have the wrong phone number. Like I'm trying to sleep. She's just like, and she doesn't even say sorry or nothing. She just fucking hangs up. Like, what the fuck?
Very nice.
But I wonder how much that fucking cost her to pull off,
Exactly. Hey, that's a different view of us. Yeah.
That one.
Yes. We've got 7 cameras in here.
I don't know. The way the view looks from where the lens is, it always trips me out.
Yes.
Camera lenses are weird. They only see stuff in widescreen.
Well, here's the other wide one, which is behind you. There. Back of your head.
Is that how Chinese people see the back of my head?
Yeah. You could write something on there next time.
Put a bumper sticker on there. I'll have to do a fresh shave to do that. I got some fuzz going on.
Yeah, no one's calling.
Hey, you guys suck. Hey, how many episodes have we done this for? 4?
This is the 4th one, yeah. No one's calling in.
Come on, Ricky. Dude, I would love it if Ricky called.
Has he got a Mexican accent?
Well, I mean, he's more like a, I don't know, like a. Oh, he lives in Chicago, right?
The Windy City.
But there's plenty of Mexicans there. But also, like, I don't know, people in Chicago, they're well, we're on YouTube. I don't want to get banned from YouTube, but let's just say that they're not very classy. And so Ricky sometimes talks like those people that like rap music.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Enough said. We all know that.
Basketball Americans.
Okay, well, no one's calling in. That's the end of the show, everybody. Thanks for calling in. Hang on. Not for calling in. Thanks for viewing us. We had up to nearly 1,900 people watching. And last show we had, it's got up to just nearly 5,700 that watched it. 5,700 watched the one before. And our subscribers have just hit just over 3,000, which is more than YouTube at 2,600. So that's good. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, and keep it classy, San Diego.
Yes. And if you haven't subscribed, and if you haven't hit the like button, and if you haven't shared the video, and what else? If you haven't done something, I always forget something with this.
Share us to meme and Facebook hate groups.
Yeah, cut the video up and make something. Take something out of context.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I love
easy.
being taken out of context.
That would be easy.
The more out of context it is, the worse I look, the better it is for our press.
Exactly. So, and we'll be back. Well, I'll be back on what's today? What is today?
Today is Sunday.
Is it?
Which is why we're here. Yeah. But it is February 2nd.
So I'll be back on Wednesday, which is?
However many days Wednesday is from
February 4th is Dogen Crypto goes live.
Well, then I think that would be the day before.
And you didn't get any. But you can buy some the next day.
I did not get any, and I probably will not. Crypto is currently doing a huge... it goes up, then it takes a shit, then it goes up, then it takes a shit. And
I bought some more XRP.
Yeah, I transferred some of my shitty meme coins to XRP.
And I bought 2 more souls, so I've got 4 now.
I've got 1 soul, but I'm just gonna.
Well, everybody's got 1 soul.
Right. 1 Solana coin.
Okay.
Because Solana's the blockchain that they keep on putting all the meme bullshit on, so. Even though it's not going to go up the same as everything else does,
that used to be $10 only about 7 months ago.
It'll keep going up.
It's 180 now, isn't it? Or something?
No, it's 200s. In the 200s. Yeah.
Like
I bought 1 Sol coin. It was like $230 when I bought it.
Yeah, I bought 2 at £180 each.
Yeah. Well, he made some money, so I did not. But now that I've got everything, I've got a pretty wide assortment of coins, so I'm just gonna
just
sit on
them and wait.
Yeah, basically, I don't know if I just wait a year, 2 years.
You see the news about Japan's banking system's gonna start using XRP?
Yeah, everybody's gonna start using XRP. I don't know what it is about it that makes it so special. I'm not a computer nerd.
I think it's because the transactions are quick, not like when you use it, it doesn't take hours or fucking days.
Well, and probably the fees aren't as much.
Yeah, it's much quicker.
Bitcoin fees are fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It uses a lot of power just for the transactions and all those Bitcoin miners, and damn, that's a lot of fucking work. But we were talking about how the memory space was open. There was no transactions waiting.
No.
Which means
everybody's sitting.
Yeah, everybody's just buying and they're just waiting.
BlackRock bought another $40 billion worth.
Yeah, I don't understand how they keep on buying so much and the value is going down. So does that mean that other people are just selling, or?
Oh, obviously someone's got to sell for them to buy.
Right, but I mean, if BlackRock is buying up that huge of an amount, who's selling off all the other stuff? And why? If BlackRock is buying up that much stuff, then why are you selling it all? You should just keep on holding. I'm just gonna keep on holding everything that I have, and I'll just see what happens. I mean, I don't know. If I just forget about it for a while and then I open up my account, it'll be like my birthday, So I don't know. It's I'm one of those people where it doesn't matter how much money I have. I'm not really gonna spend it on dumb shit anyways. Like, I just want a house, a nice house.
Box at the arena.
Maybe pay some poor people to fight each other. Just
with chickens.
Well, yeah, but that's not as fun as people.
No. People fighting each other with chickens.
Oh, with chickens.
Yeah.
Like as weapons.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I was thinking more like the scene from Django Unchained where you have all the rich people like drinking and then you just make the guys fight each other in front of the fireplace.
Oh, you could do that.
Right. Like that just sounds nice.
You start a new league.
Right. Well, I mean, there was that whole bum fights thing before. I could just start a new bum fights. I'll have to see what the rules are on
Have a
that.
new podcast, Fighting by the Fireplace.
I'll just start importing people into my Belarusian mansion and
You got an arena in there.
right and just start throwing in all these bums and just see what happens.
Yeah.
But no, I mean on a real level, I think I don't know. It's I think a lot of people are easily corrupted by money, power, influence, and that ties back into everything that I was saying with
And it changes them when they get it.
yeah, pay attention to your own yard, pay attention to your own people, pay attention to your family, take care of them first. And then if you have leftover money to make poor people fight each other, then I guess go for it. But take care of yourself first.
And on that high note, goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. You know where to follow us. And as usual, don't follow him. He's not interested.
Yeah, please don't do that. But post me in out of context meme videos, pretty please.
Yes, take him out of context.
And call me sometime. I want to make fun of you live.
Yes. Okay.